Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I am completing the January book tag created by Jan Agaton. I will link either her current or first video for this tag, and I completed this tag I think in 21 and maybe in 2022. If I completed those on both of those years, I will have them linked in the little card up in the corner. I did not complete the tag in 2023, I know that for sure, because in 2023 I was awful at videoing and kind of keeping up to date on bookish content. So that is one of the things I'm trying to change this year. But anyways, I think we'll just go ahead and jump straight into the questions. The first question is, what was the first and last book you read last year? I started 2023 with The Family Game by Catherine Steadman, and it was a book I liked but I didn't love. I remember kind of having this issue where I couldn't stand any of the characters, but I also couldn't put the book down. But at the same time, I really liked this kind of twist that came along towards the end. I liked how that was handled and how it happened. I thought that made the book a little bit more interesting, but it just wasn't my favorite book, and it kind of set the tone for the year. The book I ended the year with was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas, and I actually ended up really loving that book. I had always told myself I wouldn't read any more Sarah J. Maas books after having read the first book, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and not really being that impressed by it, and then also being intimidated by the idea of the love interest changing. But then I remember at the beginning of August, whenever we went back to work, I was talking to a couple of my coworkers, and they were all telling me how much they love the books, and like, you've really got to get past the first book and give the others a chance. I gave them a chance. I've loved the first three, or really the second and third book. The first one's still kind of meh to me, but I love the second and third book, and I have A Court of Frost and Starlight and A Court of Silver Flames both on hold on Libby, and I am very impatiently waiting to be able to check them out. And next up is, what is your first read for this year? And the first book I finished was Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, and I loved that book. That was such a great book to start the year with. This was a cozy fantasy. It kind of gave found family vibes, especially towards the end once there's just more information revealed. But I absolutely love this book. I had such a great time with it. I couldn't put it down. It was definitely an amazing book to start my year with. And I feel like the sequel will hopefully be a great book to end my year with. The sequel I think comes out in August or September, and it will be called Apprentice to the Villain, and especially after the end of Assistant to the Villain. I have got to read that one to see where things go. Number 3 is to share 3 reading goals for this year, which works out great because I only really have 3 reading goals. The first one is to read at least 70 books. I lowered my Goodreads goal a little bit just because over the past couple years I've struggled to make as much time for reading as I used to, and I think 70 books will still be achievable, but also something I will have to work towards and make time to complete. My next goal is to reread at least 5 books. There are a lot of books I absolutely love, but I always put off rereading them in favor of something newer. And then similarly, there are so many books that I really enjoyed, and it was either the first or second book in a series. So I feel like I need to reread them in order to prepare to read the next book in that particular series, duology, trilogy, whatever. So there are a handful of books I would like to reread. There's really more than a handful, but there's a handful that I'm prioritizing first, because otherwise I think I could really spend this entire year just rereading some of my favorite books. And while that sounds like fun, I am still someone who really likes to read newer releases and hyped books as they are coming out or within a couple months of them coming out. So I think rereading 5 books is something that is attainable, but I will still have to work to make time for. And then my last book-related goal for this year is to complete at least 1 reading challenge. And I've left that intentionally kind of vague because at this point I'm not sure if, I want to try to participate in a bingo challenge over on Instagram, or maybe a readathon on Bookstagram or YouTube, or maybe even like the A to Z book challenge, which I will be honest, the A to Z book challenge is one that I don't think I'm particularly interested in. But I do know that I just want to complete some type of reading challenge at least once this year. If that goes well, maybe I'll try to do it more than once. There are several people over on Instagram who make great bingo challenges. For example, one I'm currently thinking about trying to complete in January, even though the month is halfway over, is Bujo and Books, their bingo challenge. But like I said, the month's halfway over, so I'm a little intimidated to try to complete that at this point of the month. but it's something that I am heavily considering and thinking about going back and doing. Next up is, which goals did you reach or not reach last year? And I'm sure I set a couple of other goals, but the primary goal I had wanted to reach in 2023, primarily because I hate looking back at my past reading challenges on Goodreads and seeing that I didn't complete them, was to read 80 books. And I unfortunately did not meet that challenge in 2023. I only read 72 books, which isn't a number to scoff at or anything, but it just wasn't what I hoped to reach. But that's kind of why I went back and kind of reevaluated my Goodreads goals, reevaluated what else going on in my life, why I want to read this quantity instead of a quality. And I think 70 books will still make me strive. It will still be something to strive for, but it's doable. And also I think it will help me focus on reading the books I really want to read, which I do feel like I'm not bad about not reading books. I don't think I'm bad about reading books I'm not really that interested in, but at the same time, I think it's just something to help me kind of just narrow down and be a tiny bit more intentional with what I'm reading. Are there any 2024 releases that you've heard of but don't really want to read? And I do have to say at this time, there aren't really. I posted a video last week about my most anticipated releases of 2024, and all those books came from my 2024 Goodreads shelf of books that come out this year, and those weren't all the books on that list. So there are several more books that are coming out this year that I'm interested in. I'm just not as excited for compared to the ones that I talked about in that video, because those were all books I'd already read by those authors and I had enjoyed in the past. So I do not think there's anything at this point in time that I just absolutely have no interest in reading, but there are some books on there that are ones that I want to read, but they're just not high up on my priority list. What are some reading habits you want to change this year, if any? The first habit I really want to focus on is reading at bedtime instead of scrolling on my phone or playing a game on my phone or doing any of those sort of things. I would like to try to get better at, and when it's bedtime, take my medicine, drink my water, sit in bed and read a book instead of just playing around on my phone until I get too sleepy. I think maybe that could improve my quality of sleep, but also it's just hopefully a little bit better for me than scrolling Instagram or TikTok. TikTok's the main one that gets me, or playing my numbers game. I can't think of the name of it, or doing a word search, which the word search and numbers game aren't awful, but I feel like reading would be better. But that also, of course, comes with the risk of what if I get really into the book and can't put it down and then I stay up too late reading. But I think it's something I'm going to have to play with and balance. The next reading habit I want to work on is trying to read more of my own books. I'm not as bad as I used to be about buying too many books. I still buy more than I should, but I don't think I'm at the level I was in 2020 or 2021 where I was buying like 5 or 6 books a month. I do want to still work on that and not buy as many books this year. One of my goals for the month of January actually is to not buy any books at all. And I did have a book come in, but it was a pre-order that I made back in December, so it doesn't really count. It just came in this month. So far I've done well at that, but I want to really focus on actually reading the books I own. The main things that get me are Libby and KU. I read a lot of books on there, so it is a little funny that I've said that I want to put more time and energy into the books I already own, because at this point in the year, I've only read 3 books, but all 3 of them have been books that I borrowed on Libby. So that is still definitely a work in progress. Are there any adaptations you're excited about? And at this point, no. I have told myself it's okay that I'm not really a movie or TV person. When I get into shows, I get into them for a couple weeks and then I just stop watching them for a long period of time. And at this point, there just aren't any book related adaptations that I'm interested in. I can't think of any at all, really. I would like to watch the Percy Jackson series on Disney but it just came out in December, so it's technically a 2023 adaptation. Like I said, I would like to watch it, but it's not really high on my priority list just because I'm not really a movie or TV person. I'm a book and scrolling person, apparently. Next is, what is your favorite bookish memory from last year? And that is actually my sister reading Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. My sister is someone who, as a kid, never really liked reading. And then as an adult, once I got into audiobooks and I started sharing them with her, she started to love them, and she's been really into contemporary romance for a couple of years now. But at some point, and I think mid to late November, possibly early December, she texted me one night and asked me if she could borrow my copy of Fourth Wing. And I was so excited about that. It was, I think, pretty late in the evening. I think it was at least 7. So Rowan had already had his bath and was getting ready for bed. And I kind of put Chris on bedtime duty. I was like, hey, I'm taking this book over to my sister. My sister lives about 5 or 10 minutes away from me, depending on what the traffic and weather is like. And I took the book over to her apartment and she ended up loving it. She had a great time. I bought Fourth Wing the day it came, I bought Iron Flame the day it came out with the full intention of getting it read in November. And I did start it in November, but I still haven't finished it even now. And my sister finished it within, I think, less than a week, and she loved it. She accidentally spoiled something that's going to happen in that book for me because she was telling me about it. She's so excited, and she keeps telling me every time she sees me that I need to hurry up and finish it so we can talk about it. So that might be something that I try to do this weekend, especially if we have this freeze come in and it's as bad as it's saying it could be. I'm hoping it's not as bad as it was in 2021, but I wouldn't mind a snow day off from school. But no, I'm incredibly excited that my sister got into those books and that she is interested in trying to read a few more romantasy books. So I'm very excited about that. Which brings me to the final question is, are there any carryovers from last year? And I have a single carryover, and that is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I need to get that book finished so my sister and I can talk about it. I'm just a little intimidated because I haven't seen great things online about it. And also, my sister did spoil something for me. She didn't mean to, it was an accident, but I'm a little unhappy about that. And also, it's kind of just made me a little intimidated to finish this book. But I also need to because I want to read the third book. I want to complete the series and kind of read the books as they come out. Anyways, those are all my answers for the January book tag questions. Please let me know if you think there are any adaptations I should consider, and also please share some of your reading goals for this year. If you complete this tag, please feel free to let me know and I will try to go over and watch your video. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.